This is ABTV, Animal Bites Television. For animal lovers, by animal lovers.
My primary income comes from breeding and selling snakes. And I get asked all the time if I ever regret selling some animals. The truth is, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't actually like selling snakes, so I kind of regret every snake that I sell. I'd rather just keep them all. I just love them all so much. But I gotta be honest with you, there are a couple that hurt a little worse than others. So today, I want to talk to you about the one that got away. My name is Brian Barczyk. I'm no zoologist, just a guy with a passion for animals. And that passion often takes me on animal adventures around the world. Today, I'll be talking about the one that got away, the two-headed albino black rat snake. You're watching Snake Bites. I have a saying that the time that I don't appreciate my cheapest snake will be the time that I stop working with snakes altogether. It's not about money or value for me. Take, for instance, this corn snake. We literally sell these babies for about $15. I can tell you this much, I'm not getting rich selling snakes for $15, but I still get just as excited about hatching a little corn snake than almost anything that I hatch. Every animal I work with, I'm just as passionate about, and I never ever look at them as a dollar bill. With that said, I would be lying if there weren't a handful of really special animals that I've hatched over the years. Of course, almost every snake I've hatched, including the very first snake that I ever hatched, which was a little rough green snake, and then later on, about a week or two later, my first corn snakes, were so special to me. You know, that feeling of seeing a life come into the world is something that you can't really describe. It's so amazing. But again, there's a handful of animals that were kind of pinnacles for me. When I hatched them, not only did I have an emotional attachment to them, but there was also some financial attachment that helped BHB grow. And certainly, the first piebald ball python that I ever produced was one of those animals. It was a huge risk for me because when I bought my first piebald, it came out of West Africa, and most people didn't think that they were going to be genetic. So I actually had pies before they were proven genetic, and of course, the very first time I bred a hat-to-hat from one of my piebald offspring, I produced 4 eggs, and sure enough, on the 3rd egg of cutting, there was a piebald ball python in it. It happened to be a little male piebald. And to be honest with you, at the time, as much as I wanted to keep it, I had a customer lined up for $25,000. Now that really helped BHB grow. Ironically enough, later on, about 3 or 4 years later, I bought that exact animal back from the guy because it had such sentimental value to me. And that animal lived a long life and bred many, many females in my collection. So piebald ball pythons were one of the most exciting first snakes that I ever produced. There's probably no other animal in my entire collection that was more iconic for me personally than the pinstripe ball python. I brought the very first pinstripe ball python out of Abomey, Benin, and we were able to prove it out co-dominant, or actually incomplete dominant, within 2 years. Now that animal was unbelievable to me because it was the first huge animal that I was able to reproduce in relatively decent numbers, being that when you breed it to a normal, half the babies would come out pinstripe right off the bat. It really gave me the ability to kind of grow my collection in 2 ways. One, financially selling animals for $25,000 a piece was huge, but number 2, I was able to trade into projects that I probably couldn't have gotten into because the people wanted to get into pinstripes so badly. So it really exploded BHB and kind of was the most iconic animal that I've ever produced. And it's just cool to know that pretty much every pinstripe out there dates back to the lineage that was produced back in my first building that I was renting. Definitely very special to me. Now I've been breeding albino black rat snakes since I was about 17 years old, and I really have always just loved these animals. But there was one animal in particular that I hatched back in 1991 that was really a special animal. I'll never forget that day. There was a clutch of albino black rats that were hatching. There's probably 10 or 12 eggs, and I remember opening them up and going, oh, these all look really nice, and I gave them to Lori to set up. Back then, only me and Lori worked at BHB, so there wasn't a crew of people. And about 15 minutes later, she came back when I was working with the adult colubrid and said, Brian, did you see this? And I didn't know what she was talking about. And it happened to be a baby albino, two-headed black rat snake. It was a beautiful specimen, and I never ever was more excited about hatching a snake. Now, you know, I was young at the time. I'd only been breeding snakes for 3 or 4 years, and I honestly thought that producing two-headed snakes would be a relatively common occurrence if I was producing a lot of snakes. So when I was offered a pretty good sum of money, I unfortunately chose to sell that animal. I can honestly tell you that from this day forward, I always regretted that decision. I wish that I would have had that two-headed albino black rat snake. Now, it went through several people's hands over the next several years, and it lived over 15 years, which was pretty awesome. Just imagine, I could have gotten 15 years of experience with that animal. It was certainly the one that got away. But I gotta be honest with you, since then, I've produced several other two-headed snakes, but sadly, none of them have lived more than a month or two. So when I had the opportunity to buy another two-headed snake that was already a few months old, it looked beautiful. You gotta believe, I jumped all over it. So back in November, I actually purchased a two-headed Mexican black king snake. And now here we are in June, and I'm finally just getting the animal because we wanted to wait until the weather warmed up. But let's take a look really quick at another two-headed snake that unfortunately didn't live for me. Check this out. This is freaking exciting. These are just T-positive and albino Nelsons, but this one is definitely got a little extra special thing going on with it. Do you see that, guys? There's actually two heads. That's right. It's a two-headed T-positive albino Nelson's milk snake. You guys absolutely know how excited I get just about any snake or any animal for that matter. But I think you guys will remember the excitement level that happened when I hatched my first scaleless ball python.
Oh my God! You hit it! It's a God!
Whew, I tell you what, I still get chills when I watch that video. What an amazing experience. I tell you, hatching that scaleless ball python was like an experience I can barely even express to you how excited I was. So I guess it's pretty cool to be handling a scaleless Texas rat snake. And this is a gorgeous one here. I tell you guys, I am just freaking out to get this box. I keep on checking every 5 minutes to see if it's arrived. I can't wait to see this two-headed snake. So what I'm gonna do today is just try to stay as busy as I can. It's about 10:30 right now, and it was supposed to be here between 10:30 and 11. So if I can just stay busy, maybe time will pass quicker, but it cannot get here soon enough.
Hey Brian, your package is here.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous. Guys, I don't know that I want to open it. I'm just like so freaking out right now. So here it is, the two-headed Mexican black king snake. I just hope and pray that everything comes. It's always scary when you're shipping something, and probably even more scary that it can't be replaced. It's a one of a kind, you know? I mean, it's taken me 15 years to replace a two-headed snake, so the anticipation is absolutely killing me, and I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit shaky right now because I'm so nervous about it. You guys ready for this? I don't know how this even packs, so I don't know if I'm gonna see it right off the bat or not. Wouldn't you know it? You just killing me with anticipation. Oh, there he is. Oh my gosh. Look at that little monkey. Oh my gosh, Lori, look at that. Is that thing cute or what? Oh my God. Yeah, I know I'm gonna try. I gotta, guys, I think I'm gonna start to hyperventilate any second. What did I do with my razor blade? Oh my God. I'm shaking right now. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna cut yeah. Snake breeder dies from self-inflicted razor blade wound, cutting open a snake box. Oh, look at this little guy. Take a look, I want you guys to see this right as I'm opening it. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Oh, oh my gosh. Look at this thing. Oh my gosh. That is the freakiest thing. It's been so long since I've had a two-headed snake. And it's weird because this one has enough neck where you can see they kind of go back on top of each other. The black rat that we had was a little bit closer, so it couldn't actually fight with one another. And so it'll be interesting to see how this guy eats and thrives, if one head eats or two head eats. But Oh my gosh, is that so cool? Oh my gosh. Just take a look. I can't tell you how happy I am to have a two-headed snake again. And the thing that's interesting about two-headed animals is that each one is completely different. The amount of actual neck space that they have really determines about a lot of the ways that they're going to eat, feed, and even move around. What's interesting about this animal is there's just enough neck space so that they can actually go on top or beneath one another, which I find really interesting, but not such a long neck that they're going to constrict each other, which sometimes can be a problem. As a matter of fact, there's been times when one snakehead will actually try to eat the other snakehead with king snakes. Fortunately, these guys have a short enough neck that that's not going to happen. Depending on the two-headed snake, there's times that both heads will eat, or sometimes only one head eats. In this case, this particular animal happens to only eat on the left side. But again, I find this to be one of the most interesting two-headed snakes that I've ever seen. It's just kind of a perfect specimen. And you know, I love Mexican black kings, so to have a two-headed Mexican black king snake is certainly an awesome, awesome thing. Guys, so there you have it. I finally, after 15 years of regretting selling my albino two-headed rat snake, I now am the proud owner of this gorgeous, or should I say these gorgeous, beautiful female Mexican black king two-headed snake. But I'm in a little bit of a dilemma right now. What am I gonna call it? I want you guys to comment down below on what you think the coolest name to name my two girls here are. And I tell you what, you might be able to have bragging rights. And as always, guys, I was Facebooking and tweeting away during this awesome experience. So make sure to follow me over at SnakeBytesTV and on Instagram at SnakeBytes.tv. Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites.
Hi, I'm Peter Birch, an Aussie bloke who loves wildlife. My respect for nature started when I was a young boy in rural New South Wales. Since then, it's exploded into an obsession. New episodes only on AnimalBytesTV.